this poll, which was sent to me by one of our listeners, and it's an interesting poll, more interesting in the way that it's being framed by Gallup. Despite the recent political emphasis on wealth inequality and the call for higher taxes on the rich, more than 6 in 10 Americans think the United States benefits from having a class of rich people, unchanged from 22 years ago. Well, there's a couple of things. Before I even look at what the poll says, there's a couple of things that occur to me. One is, 22 years ago was 1990, where we had just basically come out of the decade of greed. So that's not terribly surprising. I'd be far more interested in what this poll would have said 40, 50 years ago. But even then, that's irrelevant. Is it any surprise to anyone that the American public has no problem with a class of rich people? Does anybody even think that the people on Occupy Wall Street have a problem with a class of rich people in the main? Of course not. The issue is not that people should not be rich. The issue is that there shouldn't be such an inordinate amount of wealth inequality. We've had rich people before in this country, but we've only had this measure of inequality back in the 1920s. And not only is there a problem with this type of great inequality, the real problem is that it has now made it impossible for our government to function properly. The problem isn't that we have a plutonomy. The problem is that we have a plutocracy. That the wealthy now have distorted our democracy in such a fashion that our representative leaders not just don't generally make decisions on what's best for the vast majority of Americans, it's that it's a regular feature now. And we've seen this proof out of numerous studies, particularly that one out of Princeton, which shows that over the past 30 years, regardless of what the party in power is, when you have any type of controversial issues, they are resolved based upon the preferences of the rich. So the idea that 63% of Americans say that having a class of rich people benefits America is in no way surprising. In fact, I'm surprised it's not larger than that. And I guess it wasn't 20 years ago. And then the Gallup sort of breathlessly, not only do a majority of Americans believe having a class of rich people is a good thing, but the majority of Americans who do not consider themselves rich now would like to be rich if they had their choice. Really? Is that supposed to be shocking in any way? What's shocking is that only says 63%. I mean, now, I imagine if you say, like, what would it take to be rich, you might have a different number. But if someone's going to drop off, I want to make this absolutely clear. If anybody wants to drop off a package at our office with several $1 million, or it can be cash or it can be a check, I don't care. I'll take it. I'll take it. It's just sort of a dumb question. Frankly, I'm surprised. What is interesting, though, the only thing interesting in this poll, and it's sort of buried into it, is that people who think that it is not very likely or not likely at all that they will be rich, that's crept up just a bit, about 5%. This is, of course, from 1990. So I don't know. This poll, it got sent to me, and there was sort of, I don't know if there was an implication like, whoa, this is sort of surprising. No, it isn't at all. The problem isn't that we have rich people in this country. The problem is that we have such wealth disparity. And the problem is that that distorts our democracy. And you can see it whether it's on a regulatory front, whether it's on the type of politicians we get front. Throughout the system, it distorts it.